While that's going on, hello and welcome. We are so thrilled that you're here today to hear from these program specialists with Getty, with the Getty Marrow Internship Program. I'd like to introduce to you first Julie Butash. She is a program associate at the Getty Foundation. In addition to managing the Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship internal program at the Center and Villa, she works on a range of strategic initiatives, including Connecting Art Histories and the Paper Project. Julie has been at the Getty since 2014, and this will be her 5th year as a Getty Marrow supervisor. Prior to the Getty, Julie worked for Los Angeles-based contemporary art galleries and art fairs. Before I introduce Selene, I wanted to go ahead and welcome you all. My name is Jan Potzman, and I'm the internship coordinator and assistant director at the Career Center. Anna has just launched our poll, so great if you could answer our poll. This is a way for us to make sure we're on track. So just a couple more folks. Couple more people. And couple more. Well, okay. As you can see, overwhelmingly, 71% don't know a thing about this program, and it's an extraordinary program. So I can't wait to turn it over to the two of them. But before I do so, I would be remiss by not introducing Selene Preciado. She's worked with Internship Week for several years now, and she is a program associate at the Getty Foundation, where she supports museum and professional development initiatives through Pacific Standard Time and managing the Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program. Selene has been at the Getty since 2015, and this will be her 5th year as a Getty Marrow supervisor. Prior to the Getty, Selene worked in various curatorial roles at MoCA and MoLA. I'm going to turn it over to the two of you.
Thank you so much, Dan, for the introduction and also for launching the poll. It's super interesting to see the results, and we're happy to participate in this so we can give you good information, hopefully, interesting information.
Thanks so much, everyone. I am hoping everyone can see my screen okay.
Looks great.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Presentation mode. Here we are. Well, we're so happy to be with you all today virtually, and it's great that there are so many of you who actually don't know very much about this program, because we would love to spend about the next 30 minutes or so chatting with you all. So, okay, yes, 71%, not at all knowledgeable. Great. But even if you know a little bit about this program, we hope that this will be an opportunity for us to really get down into the weeds about our Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program, but also to talk sort of big picture about, what's the value of internships, and, what are some of the things that you can gain. Sorry, here we go. So we'll spend the next 30 minutes or so just talking about why internships matter, what is this specific program, the Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program, and of course, how you can participate. So a lot of you probably are hearing a lot about internships, especially this week through CSUN. And basically an internship is really meant to be a professional learning experience. It's meant to really give you that opportunity to sort of understand the kinds of work that's related to the fields of study or your career interests. We really think that internships are particularly useful because it gives you an opportunity to kind of test out and do some career exploration before you fully jump in with a full-time job. So this is a way for you to understand, like, do I like working for a big organization? Do I prefer something smaller? So internships are a really great way to sort of test the waters there. It's that opportunity to, gain valuable work experience before you graduate. You can develop new skills, you can refine other skills, but I think it's also really important that you're actually being able to apply the knowledge that you're gaining from your coursework at CSUN to, sort of real on the job situations. And as I said, testing out those tentative career choices. But I think it's also great for you to be meeting and working with professionals, building out that professional network and getting those contacts that are so important for things like letters of reference, any kinds of recommendations that you may need for future jobs, future internships, anything like that that you may be exploring. And of course, ideally, you are earning money, like with our paid Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program. So there are a couple of different ways that your school can support you. So you have some really great resources here with Jan, of course. So things like asking your career center, your department coordinator, or faculty advisors, or anyone that you're taking classes with, they may know about different internship opportunities that may be available to you both during the school year or over the summer. So there are internships that you could do a couple hours a week during the academic year, or things like our Getty Marrow program that's full-time over the summer months. You can also check in with your professors, your department chairs, again, your faculty advisor, just to see if CSUN accepts internships as academic credit. That's a really great way that you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You can also, if you think that your school does accept credit, make sure you find out how many hours equate to how many credits, just so you're very clear about that. And of course, doing the paperwork you need to do before you begin your internship. I have a quote up here on the screen from the Chief Diversity Officer from the Phillips Collection in Washington, D.C. that really speaks about the power of a paid internship. So, for many, many years, internships have been available at a lot of different kinds of organizations. And our Getty Marrow program has been paid ever since it was established back in the 90s. And we're happy to see more and more programs coming alongside us and paying their interns for their time. And we feel very strongly that all internships should be paid, that your time is valuable, and it makes a lot of sense to actually be acknowledging, I think, the time and the skills that you are bringing to an internship. So just wanted to have that up on the screen for all of us. And so, we want to spend a few minutes to talk a little bit about the history of this internship program. I'm going to hand it over to Selene for the next few slides. Selene?
Thank you, Julie. So a little bit about the history, like Julie mentioned, this program has been around since the 1990s. So we actually celebrated the 30th anniversary of the program last summer. And the program has its origins in the aftermath of the LA riots in 1992, after the beating of Rodney King, and the city, or the entire region, was sort of going through this moment, very similarly to the moment that we're living in since 2020. And the several local cultural organizations got together and sort of ignited conversations about what the arts and visual arts and cultural organizations could do for our local communities. And one of the most important things, besides access, was trying to diversify also the cultural organizations staff. So one of the things that came out from these conversations was this internship program, and it started out, the first class was in 1993, and since then we have awarded for over 3,500 undergraduate internships, and maybe about half of them have reported that are still sort of like involved in the arts somehow, and maybe 33%, I think that we have different percentages, are still working currently in arts organizations. So the program itself is sort of like multi-goal. One of the goals is to help diversify our local institutions, and also provide these opportunities to students to explore careers in the arts. So one of the most important aspects of this internship is that it's completely exploratory. You don't have to have prior commitment to the arts. What that means is you don't have to be an arts major. You don't have to have worked in an art gallery or have prior experience with internships in the arts, because this is what the internship is for. And interns can participate, or students can participate as many times as possible, as long as you fulfill the eligibility requirements. Julie will talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so this is sort of the basis of the internship. And during the presentation, you'll hear us talk about different things and different goals. So I hope, yeah, that this introduction is a little bit helpful. And this slide is from a report that came out in 2019 and was also revised in, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, but it shows that the demographics of the staff in our local arts organizations does not represent our local demographics. So this program is trying to help a little bit of that, alleviate that. And because it has been around for over 30 years, we know that this is sort of like an ongoing goal, is slow but steady. And not only the Getty as a funder, but also the participants and supervisors and the interns are contributing to alleviate this issue with our local organizations. And this is a beautiful photograph of the class of 2022. So we like to show this photograph because it illustrates the number of interns that are part of the program. Every year we have around 120 interns participating in the program, 20 to 25 and work at the Getty and the Getty Villa in various apartments, and about 80 to 100. This year we'll have 101 positions in other organizations across Los Angeles. So usually there's a group of about 120 interns, and they come together in an annual event that we have at the Getty Center called Art Summit. And it's sort of, we like to call it a career day for short, but it's sort of a little bit more complex. It has keynote speakers, presentations, behind the scenes, workshops, different activities for the interns. But the most important thing is that there's an opportunity for the interns to network and build community with each other. And it's sort of like one of the only opportunities that they have to be together as a full cohort. We have other activities with small groups, but this is a full day at the Getty where everyone gets an opportunity to meet each other and have activities together.
So, Selene, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about the history of the program and the goals of this program. Now we'd like to sort of shift gears and get a little bit more into the weeds, so to speak, about what exactly is this Getty Marrow Internship Program. So then I was referring to, we have over 100 interns that are supported every summer, and we refer to those as either internal track interns or external track interns. So internal track Getty Marrow interns are hosted at the Getty Center or the Getty Villa, and that includes up to 25 internship positions. The external track, those are internships that are hosted at Los Angeles area museums and visual arts organizations, and that would be approximately 80 additional internship positions. But basically what that means is that there are over 100 paid Getty Marrow internships available every summer. And it doesn't really matter where your internship is hosted. There are some core components for every Getty Marrow intern. So all Getty Marrow internships are full-time, which is basically 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, approximately. Every intern receives the same stipend amount, and all interns complete a consecutive 10-week work period sometime between June and August. Now, your exact schedule or your exact, are you starting on June 1st versus June 8th? That may vary, but essentially these are all the things that make a Getty Marrow intern a Getty Marrow intern. So when you go onto our website, we recently did a redesign of our website. So we've done our best to sort of capture what it looks like, but you can navigate to either exploring opportunities through that internal track, those internships at the Getty, or the external track, those internships at LA area organizations. But again, you go to our main landing page for Getty Marrow interns, and then it sort of begins to splinter off into these two different tracks. One thing that I'll talk a little bit about is for our internal track, the Getty Center and the Getty Villa. So the application deadline has already passed for summer 2023, but I did just want to sort of share out very briefly the kinds of internship departments that participate summer to summer. So it may vary, but essentially we try to offer internship opportunities in a myriad of different kinds of departments that can really mirror the types of career tracks that are affiliated with arts organizations and museums. So you can find things, of course, like curatorial or, working in public programs or museum education. But then we also have things like working in the archives or doing digital projects. So we really hope that there's a little bit of something for everyone here. And maybe there are even careers that you haven't considered. When I was an undergrad, I thought that if I was an art history major, that meant I could either be a curator or I could be a professor. And I actually do neither of those things now. I work in philanthropy. So you can actually see that philanthropy is listed here as one of the potential departments hosting an intern for any given summer. So our application deadline, as I said, has already passed, but for 2024, you can, maybe put a little note on your calendar that we typically launch our application website for the internal track in early December, and applications are typically due February 1st or thereabouts. So we will now move over to that external track. So these are those internships that are at the Los Angeles area museums and visual arts organizations. You'll see a selection of different kinds of departments here on the screen. And there are a lot of echoes to what is offered with the internal track. So again, you can see things like curatorial work or working in education, but we also have things like working with publications or maybe working with public art or conservation. So this is really going to vary based on the organization. Applications are due in spring 2023, which is basically now. So what we'll say is just that while all interns have a lot of the same building blocks. So again, you do the same, you have the same stipend, you get to do a lot of the same, extra educational components, but a lot of the details are going to vary. So one of the things that includes is the application deadline. So the Getty Center and Getty Villa is just one of those host organizations. All the other organizations, they're going to determine their own deadlines. But the good news is I think that this is like perfect timing for us to be talking, because we are going to be posting all of the internships that are hosted at external organizations within the next couple of weeks. So you'll be able to visit our website very, very soon and get all of the details of what will be on offer for this summer. So as an example, we do have a selection of different kinds of internships that have participated in the past. As you can see, there's a really broad array of different kinds of organizations. So you have things like large major organizations like LACMA and the Hammer Museum, but we have things that are more culturally specific as well, like the California African American Museum. We have things that are more like community-based, like self-help graphics. And again, this is going to vary year to year. And just for added context, the reason for that is that we actually consider this a competitive program, not only to be an intern, but also to host an intern. So every single one of these organizations and every single department at the Getty Center and Getty Villa that's interested in hosting an intern actually has to prepare an application themselves. So we are in the final stages of reviewing those organization applications. But this gives you, I think, a good sense of the kinds of organizations that have participated in the past. So Selene talked a little bit about those intern requirements. So as she said, and we hope that it is nice and loud and clear here in the big blue box, that there is no previous commitment to the arts necessary. So that means you don't have to have had previous internships. You don't have to be an art history major. You don't even have to be a humanities major. All of this is really meant to be exploratory. So there are, though, a couple of requirements that we do require. So one is that you must basically have a strong connection to Los Angeles County. So that means that you're either a permanent resident of Los Angeles or you go to school in Los Angeles at the time of your application. You must be currently enrolled as an undergraduate or be a recent graduate as of this April. And you must identify as a group that is underrepresented in museums and the visual arts. So we have a list here, but it's, including but not limited to individuals of African American, Asian, Latino, Hispanic, Native American, or Pacific Islander descent. You also must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. So you may also think of that as like a green card holder. But we want to make sure that it is very, very clear that also students with DACA status that is valid through the internship are also eligible to participate. And lastly, I think Selene also mentioned this earlier, is that, should you meet these eligibility requirements, you are actually able to participate in this program multiple times. And we welcome that, we encourage it, and we see it every summer, and we love that. The only stipulation there is that it has to be at a different organization. And we hope that that gives you that opportunity to do that kind of career exploration that I was talking about earlier. So maybe you were interning at a large organization last summer, so maybe it'd be nice to try something more community-based for next summer, as an example. So Selene, do you want to talk about preparing a strong application?
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, so the application, like Julie mentioned, for the positions at the Getty Center and Getty Villa has passed. But just so you know, it has very specific components, and the application. So I think like a key important thing to have in mind, like Julie said, you apply directly to each organization. So all of the organizations participating in the program are, Getty Marrow organizations. All of the internships are Getty Marrow internships, but you apply directly to the organization. So it's important to check on the website in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I think the week of March 13, everything should be up on our website. And you will see that they will have different deadlines throughout March and April. Organizations are supposed to send us their selections to the foundation by May 1st. So that means that, counting backwards, there will be an entire month of application process and interview process. So we're happy that this is very timely, and because the applications for the other LA organizations are opening, we're sort of giving a few tips to prepare strong applications. So one very important thing is I think you can approach it in different ways. You can look for very specific organizations, like I want to work at LACMA, or I want to work at the Autry, or in very specific positions or areas of interest like curatorial, education. But because we know that this may be the first exposure that you have to these kind of positions, and the language, and also when I started my career, or like exploring internships, I had no idea. I was like, I want to work in museums, but I had no idea that there were different positions and different responsibilities. So another approach that we usually recommend is to maybe look at it geographically. So if you live, I don't know, in, by downtown, or you're interested in having internships sort of more close to your college, approach it that way and sort of do your selection. But read through right now we have the list from last year up on the website as a reference. So I think it's important for you to see the kinds of positions so you can start preparing, at least mentally. But do your research on the organization's mission. It's key to demonstrate that you have done that initial research, even if it's just on the website. Look at their programming, what kind of exhibitions or programs they have that are relevant to the position you're applying to. If there's specific staff you're interested in working in, even if they're not your direct supervisors, review what they're looking for in an intern, because these positions are exploratory. They don't require, very complicated skills, but some of them may have specific requirements. For example, if it's a position in communications, they may ask for a writing sample, for example, just so to ensure that you write well and you will do well in the position. But just make a list of all of the requirements. They have They're very similar, I want to say, is usually, you know, the regular sort of like job application, like your cover letter, list of references, and maybe, I don't know, writing sample or something else. So it's important for you to make a list of what requirements are for each position and the deadlines. That's sort of like a big tip to keep track. Maybe, you know, we say post-its, we love spreadsheets, so maybe a spreadsheet or just a checklist in a Word document or handwritten. It's very key, so you can even sort it in a way that you start applying to the ones that are due first, and then you go that way through your own list. And yeah, also the application materials. Now I think I mentioned that make a list of the different application materials because they may vary per organization.
So as Selene was saying, you know, the application materials are going to most likely vary depending on which organization you're applying to. So just as a reference, I have up here what the application materials are for the Getty Center and the Getty Villa. So for example, for that internal track, the requirements are a personal statement responding to these two bullet point prompts in the blue color here. Also required are transcripts and 2 letters of recommendation. But if we toggle over and talk about that external track a little bit more, up here is a screenshot of an example from last summer, the 18th Street Arts Complex. They were looking for a curatorial programs intern. And so here in the green box, you can sort of see a zoom in of what the application materials consisted of, which were a resume, a cover letter, 3 references, 3 writing samples, and all as PDFs. And to make sure that there is a very specific you know, email subject line and that applications were due noon on April 22nd. So that's a little bit different from what the internal track was asking for. So like Selene was recommending, you know, maybe a spreadsheet, or if you like, you know, using your Google Calendar, however you want to keep track, but there may be a little bit of difference between the individual applications. And, you know, you are welcome to apply for as many internships as you want. We don't limit how many internships you apply for. The only limitation is going to be your own bandwidth. So like Selene was saying, you know, it may be a good idea to think about focusing on internships at organizations based on geography. It could be based on the department or the organization itself. So yeah, you're welcome to apply for 80 positions if you want to, but that seems like a lot. So maybe be a little bit strategic about which ones you're focusing your energies on. So we'll talk for a minute about cover letters and resumes. So again, you know, we know that you have really great resources at CSUN, so we don't really want to spend too much time on this. You also have resources through your, you know, your faculty advisors or any other mentors in your life. But essentially, you know, whether it's a cover letter or a personal statement or a resume, you want to make sure that everything is just very clear, clean, well written, and that you proofread. You want this to be just very easy to access. You don't know exactly who is going to be on the receiving end or how many people are going to be on the receiving end of those application materials. It could be multiple people within a department. It could be just a single person. So you just want to make sure that you are sort of, I guess, like neutral or universally accessible as you can make your materials. The other thing I like to say is, especially with a resume, like, I'm sorry to say, but just keep it boring, you know, no fancy fonts or colors or photos, you know, unless you're applying for something that's like a design internship. You know, you really just want to make sure that your work is speaking for itself and not to detract by any kind of, you know, clip art or graphics or anything like that. And what I would also just sort of say is, you know, with a cover letter, also to some extent with, you know, a personal statement, I think that that's a really good opportunity to really demonstrate that you've done that research that Selene was talking about. So talking about the mission of the organization, really weaving together that connection of, you know, why are you a good match for this internship position? How are you really going to be able to contribute to the department? And also, what do you hope to learn from the internship? So I think that that's really your opportunity there. The last thing that I'll mention is, you know, whether it's a cover letter or a resume, I think for you all at this stage of your academic and professional careers, 1 page per cover letter, 1 page per resume is sufficient. A couple of do's and don'ts for personal statements. So you do want to make sure that your responses are personal. This is that opportunity for you to really advocate for yourself. And again, to really show that you've done that research and that you know exactly what you're applying for, and to speak up, to say, this is why I want this opportunity, or this is what I'm going to be able to contribute to your department. Using really specific examples. Try to use I statements and really think of this as sort of the story about you. The things that you don't want to do are things like creative writing. So things like poems or haikus or cliches. You don't want to be using quotes. We want to know what your thoughts and words are, not someone else's. And you don't want to use sort of general statements. Try not to be too repetitive. I think that, again, if you're thinking about this as you have one page to really make your case, that's all really valuable real estate. So you don't want to use up precious sentences or paragraphs on things that aren't actually helping you make your case. And one other little thing is, with things like acronyms, make sure that you're spelling it out for the reader. You may take it for granted that people know what CSUN is, but maybe the very first time that you mention CSUN, maybe you spell it out and then put it in an acronym in parentheses. So then I'm going to hand it over to you to talk a little bit about that chicken and egg conundrum that we often face.
Yes, thank you so much. And I was trying to also answer some questions in the chat. Just to reiterate, one of the first questions, or a couple of questions that asked about the graduation date, because we've already seen the eligibility requirements. You can graduate as early as April of that same cycle. So for 2024, for the next cycle, you can graduate as early as or after April 2024 to be eligible for the next cycle. And for this one, fortunately, recent graduates from December or before April of this calendar year are not eligible. So going back to the slide that we have in front of us, I think that we really try to emphasize that this internship is exploratory, or these opportunities. So don't be intimidated. We know that working in the arts, and especially because what this internship is trying to do is create access. It may be a little bit, scary to even, the wording, how positions are called and what does that mean. So don't be intimidated, be confident, especially that if you have experience working in retail or volunteer experience, all of your work experiences are valid. And Julie and I always like to say and shout out Starbucks. We worked at Starbucks when we were undergrads, not together, unfortunately, but we would have been like really cool work buddies. But we know that undergrads have different types of jobs on campus or in different industries that are not in the arts, and all of those experiences are valid. What the hiring managers or your future supervisors want to see is that you are responsible, reliable, that you have those qualifications that they're looking for, and then the rest is basically like up to them and to you to build together. And so there are very general skills that you may already have, and good communication skills and analytical skills. All of these skills are meant to be transferable. So go for it. Don't be scared. And this is what the internship is for, so you can explore these opportunities.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you've done all of your research, you've done, all the application work, you put together some really strong materials, and now you've gotten this internship. Congratulations. So now we want to just take a minute to talk about a couple of tips to make your internship experience successful. And again, we hope that this is something that you can apply no matter what opportunities come your way. But essentially, I think it really boils down to making sure that you have a really good open line of communication with your supervisors. So That means that you are able to really have a very clear understanding of like, what are your obligations and what are your responsibilities as part of your internship. So asking about things like your work schedule, office etiquette, what events are considered mandatory, which ones are optional, and things like dress code. I have to say, like, I still don't really know what business casual means. If anyone has really cracked that nut, I would love to know. But essentially what we recommend is maybe for the first couple of days of your internship to err on, more formal, not ball gowns and tuxedos, but, a little bit more dressy, and just sort of looking around your department and seeing, well, what is your supervisor wearing? What are some of the other people in your department wearing? And really adjusting your outfits accordingly from there. Like even at the Getty, I have to say, like there's a real range. Like some people come in sneakers and jeans in some departments, and other departments people are wearing full suits and high heels and all that. So it's best to really just sort of look around and see what you can mirror. A couple of other things you just want to remember to be professional. So what that means is, making sure you're showing up on time, making sure you're being respectful, that you're being attentive. Also just, you're there to learn. So use your observations, ask questions, showing that you are curious and that you are really proactive and ready to sort of dive into any project. You want to make sure that you're establishing good relationships. Again, these are individuals, whether it's your supervisor or somebody else in your department that may be a future reference for you. They might be somebody writing letters for you. So making sure you are keeping that network really active and staying connected with people even after the end of your internship. So a couple of important dates. So again, although the application deadline has passed for that internal track, generally speaking, we tend to open our applications the first week of December, and applications are due February 1st or a couple of days around there. For that external track, there are going to be internships at approximately 60 other Los Angeles organizations. You may want to bookmark our website because, as Selene said, like in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be posting all of those positions on our website. And again, you'll be applying directly to individual organizations that you're interested in pursuing. And those deadlines are going to vary by organization, but generally speaking, we're talking March and April. And while the exact dates for every internship is going to vary a little bit, it is a consecutive 10-week period between June and August. So as an example, for the Getty Center and Villa, those dates are identified as June 12th through August 18th or June 20th through August 25th. So Selena, do you want to talk about the Arts Internship Program, our sister program?
Yes, thank you. So we always like to give a shout out to our sister program from the LA County Department of Arts and Culture. They have so our program is focused on the visual arts, and our sister program from LA County Department of Arts and Culture, the Arts Internship Program, is focused on performing arts, literary arts, film, theater, and they modeled their program after ours. Right now it's a little bit different just because COVID changed a lot of things, but we would like you to also invite you to explore their website, and I think their applications or their positions will be posted also next month, I believe, like the slide says. And yeah, you can see the different organizations that participate. Sometimes there's overlap, which is nice, and also we have alumni who have participated in both programs. So yeah, just take a look, and hopefully that sounds interesting to you as well.
So we know that this was a lot of information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen in just a moment, but we hope that we can answer some of the questions that have come up in the chat or anything else that you're thinking about right now with our remaining time. But we also know that this was a lot of information. So we have our contact information up here. Please feel free to reach out to us. We're very friendly. We love to talk to people. We love to answer emails. So any questions that you have, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Great.
I'd just like to say what a wonderful presentation, and how lovely for you to do a shout out to LA Arts and Culture. They're actually up next at 2 p.m. Martin will be speaking, and I know he always has wonderful things to say about Getty. And so, yes, so we're very excited to have you back to back today. But if Anna, if you could launch the poll before we go into the Q&A, thank you. If you could answer the question, what did you learn? So basically, we want to know what you've learned. We started at 71%, I think, that had no knowledge of this program. And if a few more people keep going, if we could answer the questions for us, please. Just a few more folks. There's a few of you holding out there, or maybe you can't do it. Maybe it's not working on your phone, or, you know, there's always technology issues. But if we have a couple more folks, there we go. All right, we're going to, Anna, if you want to, we'll stop the sharing. Well, okay, you see the results there. It's always great for the presenters, I want you to know, to see this, because they want to see, are they on track? Are things happening the way are they delivering what they need to deliver? So right now, I am going to turn it over to Victoria. And Victoria, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, let's see. First question. If I've applied for an internal internship position, am I still able to apply for an external internship position? Is it okay to submit more than one application?
Yes. Yes, please. We encourage you to do that. And we are, because the deadline has passed for the internal track, one of the reasons why it's a little bit early is also to give an opportunity, because the positions at Getty are very limited. They're, you know, up to 25. And this year we have 21, if I remember correctly. So just because it's so competitive, we know that, you know, not everyone will get an internship at the Getty. So then you'll have an opportunity to apply to all of the external ones, and maybe next year you get another chance to work at the Getty. But and even though we encourage you to apply, you know, as many positions as your bandwidth allows, just be strategic. We really recommend you to be strategic and don't apply to the 101 positions that are available, because it's just, I don't think it's physically possible. But yeah, just try to be strategic and apply to those ones that you're really interested in. I don't know if you have anything to add, Julie.
Yeah, just to say, yes, you should absolutely be applying for multiple internships. And I can sort of add, because we're all together, just for added insight into our process for the internal track, is that finalists will be notified that their application has advanced by mid-March. Or if your application is not advancing, you will also receive sort of an initial declination from the internal track. So we'll be in touch with all applicants one way or another with at least that first review process update sometime in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you both. And following question is, are we able to choose what position we apply to?
Yes.
So for the internal program, to really encourage that exploration, we, rather than having applicants select specific departments, we have applicants select general areas of interest. So for example, you would select curatorial as an area of interest rather than selecting, I want to work in the paintings department. So that's how it works for internal, but for external track, it's a little bit more precise.
It's more specific, and because you apply directly to the organization, you apply also to each specific position. So some organizations, especially larger institutions, may have more than one position available, and your application has to be specific to each position. It's not like, we always give the example of LACMA, like if they have 3, it's not, if you submit one application, it's not like you have 3 shots. It's, you will apply directly to each position.
Thank you both. And the next question is, if we graduate but continue to take community college classes, does eligibility change?
I'm going to answer this in sort of maybe a different way. So to be eligible, you have to be enrolled as a full-time undergraduate student.
Thank you. That's it for questions, but if there are any other ones, please put them in the chat.
We acknowledge that the program is quite complex, and we gave a lot of information. Everything is on our website, but we present that in a different order and a little bit more conversational. But yeah, please let us know if you have questions. We're happy to clarify anything. We know it's a lot. It's even for us, it's a lot to digest.
Okay, we have one more question. International graduate computer science students can apply as well, or we need to be just undergrad?
This internship is only open to undergraduate students. So if you're currently enrolled in a master's program, then unfortunately you are not eligible for this program.
Thank you.
But the Getty does have a graduate internship program. So if you'd like to learn more about that, feel free to email me. I also work on that program too.
Okay, sorry, I'm playing here with pinning people. I apologize for the pictures here. There we go. You weren't supposed to go missing. So I want to say thank you very much to both Julie and Selene. They have been given you lots of great information. Do know that we live stream this, so if you want to watch it again, you can go to the CSUN Career Center YouTube channel. All our sessions will be posted there, so you have a chance to watch everything. And then also you can see how friendly they are. So if you have questions, please feel free to write to them. They have put it out there to you. Not every speaker will say that to you because they may be overwhelmed. They may not be able to manage, but I can see on their faces, they're wondering and welcoming all of you. So I want to thank them both for presenting today. I'm glad I had an opportunity to see you both. And again, we've got lots of thank yous that have come through the chat. Also, the next session at 2 p.m. is with Martin Hernandez. And Martin is with the LA County Arts and Culture Program. And then finally, at the end of the day, we have Bluebeam Software. Know that they're not just looking for software engineers, just like the Getty. They're looking for various different majors. Bluebeam Software is looking for videographers. They're looking for marketing folks. I mean, it's like a wide variety of people that they're seeking. So hopefully we'll see you in later sessions. And again, thank you so much to Selene and Julie.
Of course, our pleasure. I did see one question about, how if you don't have to have experience for this internship, what qualities do you look for in interns? I think that's a really, really great question. And maybe we'll use our last couple of minutes together just to sort of say that I think that supervisors are looking at a candidate as a whole. So it's not just about your GPA. It's not about your transcripts necessarily. It's taking all those different parts about you and looking at you as an individual. So it's actually, we don't have like a GPA requirement, for example. Like we're not necessarily looking for the straight A students at all. I mean, it's great if you are, but that's not a requirement. I think other things are just you really leveraging that cover letter or that personal statement to really show like, why are you interested in this internship? Like what is it that you're, especially if you're not, an art history major, for example, like why do you want an internship in a museum? And why that museum? I think really being able to communicate your interest, even if it is just exploratory, I think that is something that really can resonate with supervisors. And then otherwise, I think that I'll just sort of add for the internal track, we do ask for 2 letters of recommendation. And I think that those can also be really great components for an application, because they're coming from either a former supervisor or a professor, somebody that can really talk about, you know, your work ethic or your research skills. And I think that sometimes those letters of recommendation can really make a big difference. So I would just sort of say, whether it's for this internship program or any other program, just to think very carefully about who you ask to write those letters for you, and to make sure that you are asking them, you know, at least 2 weeks in advance, if not 2 months in advance, to be honest with you. And when you make that ask of them, you know, you want to really set them up for success. And what I mean by that is, it's not just asking, oh, hey, will you write me a letter of recommendation, but to say, I'm applying for the Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program. The deadline is February 1st. Here are the positions that I'm interested in. Will you please write me a letter of recommendation? I've also included my draft personal statement. And I've also included, if it's a professor, for example, here's that paper I wrote last semester that you gave me an A++ on. And just really giving them as much information and as much, you know, supporting materials as you can to help them write for you the best letter that they can. And I think, you know, Selena and I have both been on the requesting side and on the requester side. And so as much help as you can give to somebody who's writing that letter, the better. And, you know, making that request in advance, because especially if it's a professor, you're probably not the only person in their class that's coming to them asking for a letter of recommendation. So you want to make sure that you're making it as easy for them as you possibly can. So then, is there anything else you wanted to add about the letters of recommendation? Or
No, well, if you have already prepared material as part of your application, share with them. Like, for example, if you were asked to provide a personal statement or a cover letter, share those materials with them, because that's how they would get additional information, and especially in trying to make the case for why you should have the position. One other thing to add is people want to see candidates that are curious and enthusiastic, passionate or interested about on the arts. So yeah, just make your case and those materials and those application materials. And I copy pasted the link to the foundation website where we're listing information on the Getty Marrow Undergraduate Internship Program. But you can also, you know, Google, it may be easier, just Getty Marrow Internships. And also because the website, like we mentioned, is being redesigned, it may be a little tricky to find things, but when you're there, you'll be able to find all the information. Just to reiterate, our website has the complete list of positions available, but you apply directly to each one. So when you expand each position, you will find instructions on how to apply. So they may direct you to the organization's website, or they may just give you an email address with the instructions. So just make sure that you look at the instructions for each position. And thank you for your attention and for being here with us today.